如果中国有朝一日变得颜色，变成一个超级大国，也在世界上称王称霸，到处欺负人家，侵略人家，剥削人家，那么
Okay, so where was our family in 1978?
Oh, you were not born.
Where was your family in 1978?
I was in Beijing and Daddy was in Hangzhou.
Do you remember Deng Xiaoping's 1978 speech about reform and opening?
Yeah. The entire society became more economic driven. Like in the past, everybody was wearing the same clothes, earned the same amount of income, and there was no market allowed before 78. After China opened the economic reform, there were a lot of economic crimes. So my father was sent to the south, those cities to help his companies to debate or submit some case.
Earlier you mentioned something about food before the reform.
Yeah, I think food. Of course, before the reform, the food was quota based. Do you understand quota based?
Yeah, so like you had to produce a certain amount.
Not only produce, but you can only buy a certain amount. No matter if you're rich or not, you can only buy a limited amount each month for cooking oil, rice, flour, for what else? Eggs, meat. I remember when I was in Hangzhou at the time. I traveled to Hangzhou. I did not have the food stamps. Like you have to have countrywide food stamps. Then you can buy food when you travel to other cities. I did not have one, so I had to skip my lunch because no place is able to sell me even a bun. They could not, I have to pay for the stamp and the money. By the time I was in college, the food stamp is totally gone basic. That is in the 80s, the mid of the 80s, pretty much totally gone. That would encourage people move right from country to city to another city. So that would bring more opportunities, which make the entire society more alive.
Okay, so one of the most criticized policies was the one-child policy. So what is your stance on the one-child policy, and do you think it should have been implemented in the first place? And what consequences?
It's very unhealthy, you know. At the time, I don't know. One child made the child become the only one child, right? For two families, three families, basically, right? And the child's self-development is getting the character. It's becoming very self-centered, selfish, not able to take, risks. It's just they treated everything. They take everything for granted and not enough appreciation. Many, one child, the kid, right? They have some character issues. What's that called? I feel that they're not risk taker and they're self-centered.
To other countries, with cases doubling within days. This virus is the severe acute respiratory syndrome related coronavirus 2 that causes the disease called COVID-19 and that everyone simply calls coronavirus. What actually happens when it infects a human?
I think it would have been a better experience if I had siblings, because I still remember when my mother went to work during midnight and I felt scared. I cried at the time.
就担心会不会有贼会来敲门进来，我就是一个小孩子在里面，所以听到外面有什么动静，就觉得是不是有小偷。还有深夜看不到任何东西，就会担心说里面会不会有 ghost， 会胡思乱想，就会吓到自己。因为就对世界认识有限，就比较小，就会害怕鬼。会担心一个人在家，会独自面对可能的坏人。
你的妈妈一般什么时候离开家？
晚上12点。
你会从什么时候会开始害怕？
妈妈这样一起来，她自己就会洗刷和穿好衣服，这时候我就会开始比较紧张，因为妈妈就要离开这个房子了。当妈妈把那个锁，看她把门一锁上，那个锁啪一下落下去的时候，我就会开始叫妈妈妈妈，妈妈就把锁拿开，开门进来就说 你怎么回事啊？害怕什么？我要上班去了，再见。天天不都这样吗？然后我妈妈一出去，把那个锁，她把那个锁挂上，我就又开始叫我妈妈。妈妈实在是无奈，就敲醒隔壁邻居的门。我就睡在邻居家。第二天我妈妈特别生气，早上她一下班就把邻居家的门锁上。我妈妈就说：“哎，这个臭小子不争气，不要上学了。”她就把邻居家的门锁上了。就是那个晚上有一点害怕的经验。
Have you ever want to look like this guy or this guy? How about these guys? Well, now you can with a state-of-the-art design. You got buttons on your sleeve, you got a turn-down collar, you got 5 frontal buttons, you got 4 large pockets.
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
I agree.
It was around the 1960s and your grandfather was a young man. He lived in Guangzhou province, around the outskirts in a decently sized town. He worked as a PE teacher there, but on the side he was affiliated with religious activities.
What type of religious activities?
He was a seer and earned a little bit of money on the side. Because of this, he was arrested as religion and private businesses were not allowed. This was during the Cultural Revolution. He spent time in jail, but when he got out, he decided to leave China. He swam across to Hong Kong, which was very dangerous. On the way, he even saved someone. When he got to Hong Kong, he became a taxi driver and married your grandmother, who actually climbed the mountains to get to Hong Kong.
Could you tell me about that? Your life in Hong Kong?
So, we grew up in poverty, and I had to drop out of high school to work. Fortunately, I managed to learn English and was able to get a job at one of the many global companies in Hong Kong.
And we're back with another advertisement from the design team. Sebastian Shen, even though not either of them. Prior to 1978, China was in a destitute state with 95% of the general population living in extreme poverty, earning less than 4 RMB each day. Can you believe that? Whoa. Though many factors contributed to this economic and humanitarian failure, the leadership of CCP chairman Mao Zedong was its catalyst. Through revolutionary initiatives like the Great Leap Forward in 1958 through to 1962, which led to the death of up to 100 million people, the country suffered immensely, disabling its ability to make progress for coming decades. The Chinese Cultural Revolution in 1966 through to 1976 reinforced this happening as technological advances was less likely, and another estimated 20 million died as a result of this. However, despite the calamitous nature of these initiatives, Mao remained at the helm of the Chinese government. As a result of this, the ideology and mannerisms that he exposed to people remained influential long after his death in 1976. His railroad book, a collection of speeches stated that quotations sources gained notoriety amongst Chinese youth and became compulsory reading tools. Most influential in time was his address, seen here wearing his namesake suit with the Mao suit. However, this suit was actually introduced to China by Sun Yat-sen, as he believed that they were far more functional compared to the traditional Mandarin suit. They later became known as Mao suits because he was often seen wearing the style. One of the oldest style suits, the Mandarin suit, gained popularity in the 17th century following the cessation of the Qing dynasty in 1644 through 1911. The suit gained notoriety and popularity among the upper echelons of Chinese society and was soon worn by middle-men across China. It became the most pervasive and notable form of formal dress. However, the material still used to reflect luxury and status of those wearing it, and extremely loose fitting shape of the suit made it inefficient and non-functional to the modern person, as the country quickly made it somewhat inefficient and non-functional. However, the material silk used to reflect luxury and status of those wearing it, and extremely loose fitting shape of the suit made it somewhat inefficient and non-functional to the modern person, as the country quickly modernized and industrialized. From this need of added functionality and modernism, the Mao suit, also known as Zhongshan, followed Sun Yat-sen's Mandarin name, suit. From this need of added functionality and modernism, the Mao suit, also known as Zhongshan, following Sun Yat-sen's Mandarin name, suit, was born. So popular was the suit that those who chose not to wear it was a social status, a testament to the suit's pervasiveness. The suit was able to blend the Western and Eastern aspects of suit's elegance and functionality, and it was worn by essentially all civil servants from 1920 to 1930, and until the end of the Cultural Revolution in 1936 to 1937, regardless of the Chinese population. Made from polyester, widely available in all gray and navy, the suit consisted of baggy pants and tight waisted, connected button down, jacket with left collar and 4 pockets. The suit includes vital seams throughout, reinforced stitching in the pocket's backs and legs help massively ensure that the sharp suit. Furthermore, heavy used in polyester meant that the durable suits could be produced on a large scale like The suit's 4 pockets represent the 4 Chinese virtues, as justice, honor, honesty, and appropriate.